Phoenix fevers. Let's start with the most dramatic material on this list. A phoenix is immortal. It burns to ash and is reborn. And it will only donate a feather when it decides the moment is right. You cannot pluck a phoenix. You cannot sedate one, trap one, or negotiate with one through financial incentive. The feather has to be given freely. Fawkes, Dumbledore's phoenix, gave exactly 2 feathers in his entire documented life. One went into Harry's wand. One went into Voldemort's wand. A single phoenix, across centuries of existence, gave 2 feathers. Both of them ended up at the center of the most consequential magical conflict in modern wizarding history. That is either the most extraordinary coincidence in wand-making history, or phoenixes understand something about the future that nobody wants to fully acknowledge. The feather itself is not just rare, it's structurally extraordinary. Phoenix feathers are heat-resistant, nearly indestructible, and carry residual traces of the phoenix's magical fire, even after separation from the bird. When encased in wandwood, that energy transmutes into magical conductivity of a range and depth no other core material can match. The cost of all this? Phoenix feather wands are the most selective, most temperamental, and hardest to bond with of all core materials. The feather came from a creature that chose to give it. That choosiness transfers directly into the wand. It will take its time deciding whether you're worth committing to. Dragon heartstrings. Dragon heartstrings sounds poetic. It is not poetic. It is exactly what it says it is. A heartstring is the tendon connecting a dragon's heart to its surrounding musculature. To obtain one, a licensed magical creature handler has to get close enough to a living dragon to extract this material. Dragons are enormous, fire-breathing, and aggressively uninterested in cooperating with wandmakers. The extraction process is classified by the Minister of Magic as an advanced restricted procedure, technically legal under specific circumstances. Genuinely terrifying in practice. Absolutely not something Ollivander is doing himself in his Diagon Alley shop. Wandmakers source heartstrings from licensed dragon sanctuaries, places like the one Charlie Weasley works at in Romania, where dragons are occasionally handled for magical material collection. The dragons are not permanently harmed in regulated extractions. They are, however, extremely angry about the whole process. What the heartstring brings to a wand is the dragon's most essential quality: raw, concentrated, almost excessive power. Dragon heartstring wands produce the fastest, strongest, most immediately impactful magic of any core. They bond quickly. They learn fast. They push hard. Dragon heartstring amplifies emotion. All emotion, not just the useful ones. Anger makes spells hit wider than intended. Panic fires spells before the incantation finishes. The most powerful core is also the least forgiving of the person holding it. Unicorn hair. Here's what most people miss about unicorns. They're not passive. They're not meek. A unicorn will attack a perceived threat with a single horn that carries enough magical charge to crack stone. They are selective about who they permit near them to an almost insulting degree, and they shed their tail hairs on their own schedule, not yours. Unicorn hair for wand making is collected from naturally shed hairs found in forest areas where unicorns live. Experienced wand makers or their suppliers walk designated unicorn territories and collect what the unicorns have left behind. You do not approach a unicorn and ask for a hair. You wait until it leaves one and hope it left enough. Unicorn blood is one of the most magically potent substances in existence. Quirrell drank it in Philosopher's Stone to sustain Voldemort's half-life at the cost of a cursed existence. The hair carries a fraction of that same purity. What unicorn hair brings to a wand is consistency, loyalty, and moral sensitivity. It produces the most reliable magic of any core. It forms the deepest bonds with its owner. And it actively resists dark magic. degrading and losing power when used repeatedly for harmful purposes. Unicorn hair is the core that keeps a conscience. Beautiful in theory. Occasionally, deeply inconvenient for wizards who would prefer their magical tools to have fewer opinions about how they're being used. Kids, the thestral tail hair. The thestral tail hair is in a category entirely its own. Not because of what it does, because of what you have to have experienced just to see the creature it comes from. The thestrals are skeletal, winged horse-like creatures that are completely invisible to anyone who hasn't witnessed death and processed that experience. Not just seen a dead body, witnessed the actual moment of death and understood what they were seeing. That specific, irreversible experience is the only key to perceiving the thestrals at all. This means obtaining thestral tail hair requires either working with experienced wizards who can see them or having witnessed death yourself. The material is extraordinarily rare. Most wandmakers never obtain any in their entire careers. Only one wand in documented history used the thestral tail hair as a primary core, the Elder Wand, made by Antioch Petherel, the eldest of the three brothers from the tail, the most powerful wand ever created. The tail hair brings to a wand a connection to the space between life and death that no other material can replicate. The Elder Wand responds to wizards who have genuinely reckoned with death. It resists those who fear it. Every owner who died for the Elder Wand failed its core's fundamental test. They wanted mastery over death without accepting it. Harry Potter, who had literally died and come back, was the first owner in 5 centuries the core fully committed to, a material sourced only by those who've seen death, in a wand that only works for those at peace with death. The most powerful wand ever made was always looking for someone specific. It just had to wait 5 centuries to find them. Wandwoods, the core gets all the attention. The wood does half the work and gets none of the credit. Ollivander uses over 60 different types of wandwood. Each one carries a distinct magical personality that changes the fundamental character of how a wand functions. Sourcing them is not a trip to a lumberyard. It's a years-long process involving specific trees, specific locations, and specific times. Elderwood, the rarest, must come from trees that have grown for at least 100 years in areas of strong ambient magic. You cannot farm elder for wandwood. The magic builds up across decades of exposure to magical environments. A young elder tree produces ordinary wood. An ancient one in the right location produces something Ollivander calls the most powerful wandwood in existence, and also the most dangerous and difficult to master. Holly, Harry's wood, must be harvested at specific seasonal points when its magical properties are at peak concentration. Holly has a documented history with protective magic and dangerous quests. Wandmakers who specialize in holly source it from old-growth forests and age it for years before use. Yew, Voldemort's wood, grows in places associated with death, old churchyards, ancient burial grounds. Yew trees live 2,000 years or more and absorb the magical residue of those locations across centuries. A yew wand isn't just yew wood, it's wood that has been marinating in millennia of magical history connected to mortality. The sourcing, aging, and preparation of wandwood is a craft that takes decades to master. Ollivander's family has been developing relationships with specific forests and specific harvesters for generations. That breadth of wood knowledge is exactly what makes his matches more precise than anyone else in the business. Velar hair. Velar hair is not collected from wild Velar. Full stop. Velar are sentient beings. Taking hair from them without consent would be magical assault. The only legitimate source of Velar hair for wand making is from Velar who choose to donate it, usually within family lines, where a Velar grandmother provides hair specifically for a descendant's wand. Fire Delacour's wand contains a hair from her Vila grandmother. That's a family decision, a piece of her grandmother's magical essence, encased in wood, passed through blood. It's a wand and a family heirloom simultaneously. Vila hair brings to a wand the Vila's most defining quality, supernatural persuasion, as an active magical property. Spells cast through a Vila hair wand carry additional persuasive weight. Charms hit harder. The magical signature of everything the wand produces has a warmth that makes people inclined to trust it before they've consciously decided to. The problem: Vila transform into dangerous creatures when emotionally pushed past their limit. The hair remembers this. A Vila hair wand, whose caster is destabilized, doesn't just underperform, it produces unpredictable surges the caster didn't intend and cannot fully control. Continental wandmakers occasionally source hair through formal agreements with Vila families. It's rare, it's complicated. The wands produced are extraordinary for the right wizard and actively dangerous for the wrong one. Kelpie mane, troll whisker, and the materials nobody wants to discuss. Ollivander uses over 60 wood types and acknowledges 3 primary cores. He does not discuss what everyone else is working with. Kelpie mane comes from a water horse that drowns people for sport. To collect it, you have to get within arm's reach of an animal designed to kill you and take hair from its mane. Scottish and Irish wandmakers have used it for centuries, sourced from freshwater lochs. The collection method involves magical immobilization, temporarily, using containment spells only a handful of specialists know. The window before the Kelpie wakes up and tries to murder you is approximately 4 minutes. Troll whisker comes from an animal that sheds seasonally, like certain mammals shed fur. In areas of high troll population, these can be collected from the ground without direct contact, which is good because direct contact with a troll for any reason is inadvisable. The whisker produces wands with extraordinary endurance and blunt force magical output. Not elegant, not precise, unstoppable. There are also documented cases of wandmakers working with beacorn horn, gnarl quill, fairy wing, and rougarou hair, each sourced through its own specific and frequently dangerous process. Each producing wands with narrow but exceptional capabilities. The wand-making world is significantly wider and stranger than Ollivander's tidy Diagon Alley shop suggests. The aging process. Here is the part of wand-making nobody talks about, because it completely destroys the romance of the whole thing. A wand is not assembled quickly. A properly made wand represents years of preparation before a single customer walks through the door. Wandwood must be cut, dried, and aged for 1 to 3 years before it can be worked. Rushing this produces wands that crack, warp, or lose magical conductivity within years of use. Ollivander stores his wood in specific conditions, controlled humidity, particular temperatures, arrangements that maintain the magical properties the tree absorbed during its life. The core materials require separate preparation. Phoenix feathers are cleaned and treated to preserve conductivity without diminishing it. Dragon heartstrings are dried and stretched to specific tensions. Unicorn hairs are sorted by length and magical density. Not every hair from the same unicorn performs identically, and matching the right hair to the right wood is its own area of expertise. The actual assembly, inserting the core, sealing it, finishing the handle, takes hours. But those hours are built on years of sourcing, years of preparation, and generations of accumulated knowledge about which materials work together and which actively fight each other. 7 galleons sounds like a lot for a stick with something inside it. 7 galleons is a profound undercharge for years of preparation, rare materials sourced from dangerous creatures, and the accumulated craft of a family tradition going back centuries. The wand you walk out of that shop with has been in preparation for years before you existed. The wood was aging while you were learning to walk. The core was being prepared while you were in primary school. The materials that will channel your magic for the rest of your life was sourced from creatures that flew and ran and swam before your parents were born. The wand chose you. But it was already waiting for you, long before either of you knew what the other was.